Good afternoon, and welcome to the NSTP FASET Parent Panel discussion. My name is James Allen Jr., and I am a coordinator for new student and transition programs here at Georgia Tech, where I specifically oversee our extended orientation program, Rec Camp. Today, I will serve as your moderator for this panel, along with my colleague Cynthia Jennings, who is the Director of New Student and Transition Programs. We are so excited that you are here with us today and welcome you and your students to the Georgia Tech family. We also hope that you and your loved ones are safe during these uncertain times. To begin our panel discussion, our panelists will have the opportunity to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Colleen Riggle. I serve the Institute as Associate Dean of Students in the Division of Student Life.
Good morning. My name is Ansley Sharp. I'm the Assistant Registrar for Registration and Customer Relations at Georgia Tech, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have today about the registration process, incoming test scores, or transfer credit.
I'm Shannon Dobronsky. I'm the Director of Pre-Graduate and Pre-Professional Advising in the Office of Undergraduate Education.
Hello all, my name is Michaela Allen and I'm a Student Account Specialist with the Bursar's Office.
Good morning, my name is Larry and I am the Customer Service Manager with the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid.
Hi, my name is Brett Hulst. I'm the Associate Director of Residence Life and I'll be answering questions for campus services today.
Demoris, could you unmute your camera, please?
I don't know what's happening here. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Demoris Walker, and I'm the Director of Summer Sessions Initiatives. I don't see what's happening. Am I still muted?
It's okay. Yeah, you got your introduction in. So as a reminder, if you have a question that has not been asked, please feel free to send the message in our anonymous chat bar within Microsoft Teams. If we do not receive many questions during this session, we will be ending early as a forewarning. We will do our very best to field all questions asked within this hour time frame. If you ask a question and we don't publish it, it is because we have already answered this question. This video will be posted in the FASET Parent Canvas later today. To begin our discussion, we start with our first question in the chat. Today's first question is, my son may want to change his major. Will he still be able to do that?
I can take that one, James.
Yes, you're live.
Okay. Hi, Ansley Sharp, Registrar's Office. Yes, it will be possible for your student to request a major change. However, we do request that they wait. It's not something they should plan on taking care of today. They will need to wait until after the fall term is underway. And at that time, they should approach their current major advisor to discuss the process. There will likely be an advising meeting that they'll need to have with the major they plan to switch to. So it is certainly a possibility, but they are going to need to wait until the start of the fall term.
And thank you, Ansley. This next question is going to be for Dr. Dobronsky. The question is, what is the difference between an internship and a co-op?
So that's a great question. I'm really glad you asked because the vast majority of students who graduate from Georgia Tech will have either an internship or a co-op experience while they are undergraduates. A co-op designates a work experience that alternates with full-time campus experience. So it follows the pattern of study for a semester, then work, usually full-time for a semester, study, work, study, work. So by the time you complete a co-op, you do wind up with 3 full terms of full-time work experience. Often this results in an offer of full-time employment by that employer for the co-op, but that's not a guarantee. It does, however, encourage students to return to the same employer again for all 3 of those terms to cultivate a breadth of knowledge for that field and that industry and that specific employer. So it can result in full-time permanent employment. An internship is typically just 1 semester of employment with a given employer. And it can be full-time or part-time. Internships are available as our co-ops through our Career Buzz interface. And once they're on campus, students should register for that interface so that they can explore the experiential learning opportunities like co-ops and internships that are available through the Career Center at Georgia Tech. These are really great opportunities. One is not better than the other. The virtues of the co-op are that sustained experience with an employer. The virtues of an internship is the ability to shop around a little bit. You might think of it as the difference between just dating and being engaged. So the co-op is more like being engaged with a single employer, and the internship allows you to play the field a little bit more. The Career Center is available for students and ready to counsel students as they seek those experiential learning opportunities.
We thank you for that answer, Dr. Dobronsky. This next question is going to be for Brett and Campus Services. The question is, can we visit our student any time of the year, and will we be able to visit their residence hall?
So the answer is yes, you should definitely visit your sons and daughters. Make sure they know you're coming. That's always a good start. Sometimes people show up and they're not in their room, and we can't tell you where they're at, and because we don't know where they're at either. So they are living their lives. So yes, please plan to visit your sons and daughters. I will say that we do have a modified visitation schedule in the residence halls because of COVID. We are still being cautious with folks coming from around the country and around the world. And so during the summer program, Ignite, during move-in, you will be able to go into the room, help your sons and daughters move into their room, but we will ask you to leave that space as soon as you're moved in. You can visit the rest of campus, you can walk around, you can be on campus with students, but we're just gonna ask you to be outside of the residence halls. During Ignite and for the first month of the fall, we will also not be allowing visitors inside the residence halls. Only folks who live in the residence halls can stay in that specific residence hall until we can make sure that everyone has been tested, vaccinated, who choose to do so, just so we can stay on top of any infections that might come from COVID. We want to make sure that we are staying really vigilant with that, so to protect everyone in the halls. But please visit your sons and daughters, make sure they know you're coming, but stay out of the residence halls during Ignite and for the first month of school.
And thank you for that answer there, Brett. This next question is going to be for Larry and financial aid. The question is, can out-of-state students still receive merit-based scholarships?
Thank you for the question. All scholarship aid for the current year has been exhausted. So whatever is on the award notice at this point is going to be all that the students will receive for the 2021 to 2022 aid year. However, all students can be considered for scholarships, grants, institutional grants, low or no interest loans. And you want to remember these deadlines. The priority deadline to be considered for this aid is January 31st. So that means that the Georgia Tech aid application as well as the FAFSA must be submitted, cleared, and accepted by January 31st to be considered for that financial aid. Those applications open around October 15th. So we absolutely recommend starting those applications as soon as they come out. That is a hard deadline. February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd, you will not be considered for any of that merit or need-based financial aid. So January 31st, please remember that. Thank you.
We do thank you for that answer, Larry. The next question is going to be for Michaela in our bursar's office. The question is, can I set up a payment plan?
So yes, Georgia Tech actually offers one payment plan. This payment plan allows a student to defer up to 50% of the current tuition and mandatory fees, or the remaining account balance, whichever is less. Under the payment plan terms, half of the deferred balance is due approximately 30 days after the classes begin, and the remaining amount would be due approximately 60 days into the term. Summer incoming freshmen would not be eligible for the summer term plan, but almost all students should be eligible, given that they have applicable tuition and fee charges on their student accounts.
And thank you so much for that answer, Michaela. I see DeMorris has hit on this a little bit, but I'm going to ask Dr. Dobransky, should my son take GT 1000?
Yes, the answer is emphatically yes, they should take GT 1000. GT 1000 is a wonderful course for entering students. It acclimates them to not just the atmosphere for higher education, but very specifically to the environment at Georgia Tech. So it will expose them to Georgia Tech traditions. It will help them to build community at Georgia Tech. It is also very career oriented, so it will help them to start thinking early about long-term planning and developing a curricular plan, and then also a co-curricular plan to advance them toward their career goals. There is no downside to taking GT 1000. It is an excellent class. Some of the sections are for specific majors, others are more general sections. Some are devoted to specific interests like research or study abroad. So I would encourage you to explore what all the options are. They're all excellent, and definitely sign up to take GT 1000. It's a course that was designed to help students be successful at Georgia Tech. The students who participate in it tend to do very well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dobransky. This next question is going to be for Ansley. The question is it possible to change a course after my student registers during FASET?
Yes, it will be possible. So when your student's time ticket opens today, and a time ticket, when we mention that, we just mean when their registration window opens, it will close at noon tomorrow. So they'll have until tomorrow to make schedule changes. However, we will be opening it up again the week that classes begin for your student. So on, I was looking up the date, June 21st through Thursday, June 24th, your students will have the ability to make any schedule changes for the summer term.
Thank you so much, Ansley. And while I have you here, you might be able to answer this one as well. My son is attending Ignite. Are there any courses that fill up fast that my freshmen should try to sign up for during FASET today?
I will say a little bit, and then I will also let DeMorris chime in as well if he'd like to. But the Ignite program is it's very much scheduled based on the incoming class that we have. So I think your student will find that the majority of classes are going to be full because we have crafted the schedule based on the students we know that are coming. So when your student heads to advising this afternoon, they're going to meet with their major advisor, and they're going to recommend a course of study for the summer. So I don't think your student's going to have any problems getting the courses that they need for the summer. But again, I will let DeMorris add anything that he'd like to add here.
Mm-hmm. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I apologize for the camera not working. It keeps coming in and out. Anyway, so yeah, to answer the question, there are some courses that that are being kind of rolled out for each day, so that we know that they're high demand courses, and so that the departments like math and English, they allow for certain sections to fill up, and then they'll reserve some seats. So for the students who are registering today, they have some seats that are reserved for them, so that your student, as Ainsley mentioned, should be able to create a schedule. And then if for whatever reason the class is full, the other second phase 2 registration will happen June 21st and through the 24th. And what happens during that time, some students change their mind, they make changes in their schedule, so a space will open up, and so they'll have an opportunity to add the course if they couldn't add it this initial time.
And thank you for those answers, Ansley and DeMorris. And DeMorris, while I have you here, I have another question for you. Can you clarify the differences between asynchronous courses versus online learning, given that my student has opted for the virtual Ignite? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to say I didn't learn this until last year, so with going remote and online. So the asynchronous courses and the remote courses are both offered through their remote delivery. What's different between asynchronous and online is online will probably be synchronous classes, meaning that there will be a set meeting time for that class. So as if they were in person. So they may have a class that meets Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9:30 to 11:40. And that's their set time, but it's delivered remotely through the internet and whatnot. And asynchronous basically means that the course, there's no set time, but there will be assignments and a schedule that a student will have to follow. The instructor might have videos available with lectures where the students can watch during their own time, but I just want to warn families and students that it's a 5-week session, so it moves really quickly. And so it's really important for students to stick to the schedule that their instructor laid out for the asynchronous courses.
And thank you for that answer there, Demoris. This next question is going to be for Cynthia. The question is, I think I heard in the last session that parents may attend the student's course registration discussion during FASET. Is that correct? Are there pros and cons to this? You're muted, Cynthia.
I so rarely speak during this session that I forgot to unmute myself. So good afternoon, everyone. Once again, Cynthia Jennings, and Assistant Dean and Director of New Student Transition Programs. During class registration, parents are not allowed to be with their student during class registration. The students will be assisted by either FASET leaders or academic advisors, depending on who they are assigned to. Parents will have a session with Dean Stein and Parent Family Programs at 2 o'clock. And that session is really great for parents because it's what every Yellow Jacket family should know. And you get to hear what resources we provide families at that time. But our FASET leaders will only work with the student during class registration.
And thank you for that answer there, Cynthia. This next question is going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is, we've seen a financial aid award letter for Hope and Zell Miller for fall, but not for summer. Who do we talk to about Hope and Zell Miller for summer?
Summer financial aid award notices are not released until well into spring term. So the award notice that students get first is just for fall semester and then spring semester. Summer semester award notices will be released separately.
All right, thank you so much for that answer there, Larry. This next question may be for Brett or Colleen, but what are the anticipated COVID restrictions for the upcoming year?
I can start.
Okay.
So there are still decisions being made about what fall is going to look like. We are planning on moving to a much more normal schedule for Georgia Tech. However, there will be restrictions in some areas as we are returning to normal. And so I'm going to post on the chat in a second our link to Georgia Tech Moving Forward, which gives updates on what's happening on campus. Some of those decisions will not be made until next month or a little later, as we're looking at what's going on around the world and other plans like that. I've mentioned a few things for us in housing. We will be limiting visitation in the buildings for the first month of school and during Ignite, just to keep people safe and to stay on top of what's going on and to really monitor the situation. An abundance of caution is what we want to do. However, we are trying to get back to normal in a lot of ways. Folks will be having roommates again. We will have testing going on. There will be opportunities for folks to get vaccinated very easily on campus. And so for folks who are not vaccinated, there will be options for that. So look for the link I'm about to post in the chat for this question, and you can read all about what's going on campus. And Colleen, if you have anything else to add, please do.
That's great, Brett. Thank you. I don't have actually much more to add to that. I think, like Brett said, a lot of decisions are still being made. I would say, in general, we are guided by the University System of Georgia, and they make a lot of the decisions and kind of follow the guidance of the CDC and things of that nature. So that may kind of give some heads up to things that may be changing. But we are trying to get back to a new normal this fall, and hope to see a lot of people more out on campus and engaged. So it's been kind of quiet, so it'll be nice to see people out and about again.
And thank you, Colleen and Brett, for those answers. I do have another question for you while you're here. For students who do not get vaccinated and live in the dorms, will the school require regular COVID testing so that everyone is safe?
So I can take that. I will say testing, there will be testing available on campus. Those locations will be announced through the website I published on the question previous to this. So we will be asking folks to be tested weekly. We will be encouraging folks to vaccinate who have the ability to do so, and make that very easy as well. We do require that students wear masks who have not been vaccinated. Folks who have been vaccinated do not have to wear masks on campus any longer. We don't require testing, but we highly encourage it and make it very, very easy.
And thank you for that answer there, Brett. This next question is going to be for Ansley in the registrar's office. The question is, how should a student consider APs when registering while still waiting on scores to come in? Can they skip the first course? And if so, what happens if they find that the AP score was not high enough after they have already taken and passed the second course?
James, so this is a situation that does come up the majority of summers. The advisors today, along with the registrar's office staff, are going to be well aware of this, that some students are facing this issue. So 2019 and 2020 scores should be in. Hopefully your student has requested those if possible. 2021 scores are not going to be in until the end of July. College Board has released that information. So what we encourage your student to do today is mention that they anticipate AP's credit when they are in advising this afternoon. And the advisor can then work with them to see if the teaching department would be willing to issue them any type of permit so that perhaps they can move on to the next course in the sequence. Now, if it happens that maybe they do take the second course in the sequence and AP credit is not awarded, then the expectation is that they would go back and take that course as is required for their degree program. So the gist of it is, for today, please have your student be very upfront about any credit they anticipate receiving so that their advisor can give them the best advice possible.
Thank you so much for that answer, Ansley. This next question is, has the schedule for fall orientation and move-in been finalized? Will you also state which events parents can attend to during the orientation period?
I'm happy to take the move-in portion of that, if that's okay, and then switch it over back to someone who could talk about orientation things. So for move-in, so for students who are living with us in Ignite this summer, who are living on campus this summer, you will move in on the 21st of June. You should have already received an email from housing that asks you to sign up for a time. And there'll be more information coming out early next week about some other particulars that are going on with Ignite for move-in, just to finalize that information. But that information about signing up for time for the 21st has already come about. For students who are living with us on campus and moving in with us on fall, so transitioning from a summer room to a fall room, that transition date will be early August, probably around the 5th or 6th. That information will be coming out very soon, probably in the same letter that you'll be getting from us in the next week once we finalize that date for our transition date. For students who are participating in Ignite but not living on campus, their move-in date will be the 14th or 15th of August, and that information will be coming out probably late next month, mid next month, but the 14th and 15th will be the day that they can select to move in on, and they'll pick a time, they'll show up to campus, they'll get their key, and we start a week of welcome activities that week. The move-in begins the week of welcome. The first kickoff event for that is the 15th, the evening of the 15th. So if you're coming in on Sunday, you will not miss anything major, but you're welcome to move in on the 14th as well if that's a time that you would rather move in. So you'll sign up for one of those 2 days. There will be a lot of events going on for students that week. We in Housing and Student Center and Week of Welcome do not plan any events for parents. It is all to welcome students, to get them acclimated to campus. And so that will be happening through the week, and it will end on the 22nd, which is the Sunday before classes start, with convocation, which is the kickoff to the academic year. And so we have a lot planned that week, and I will turn it back over to James to talk about orientation and parents programs, or Colleen.
Yes, and the next part of the question, if Cynthia, I believe the next part of the question was, will you also state which events, or has the schedule for fall orientation been approved just yet?
So we will be sending out information to parents and families about parent orientation that will occur during move-in weekend. Hopefully either next week or the week after that. We're in the midst of finalizing those details, but that will happen during move-in weekend. But once we get to Monday, most of the programming pretty much Monday, starting around 11 o'clock in the morning forward, will be student-only program because we will have one session on Monday morning, but more details will come out in the next couple of weeks.
All right, thank you for those answers, Brett and Cynthia. This next question is going to be for Ansley. The question is, how is eligibility on in-state tuition determined?
James, so in-state tuition eligibility for any student under the age of 24 is going to be based on where the parent is residing. So if your student is relocating to Georgia to attend Georgia Tech, even if they've lived here for 12 months, even if they've been here for over a year, their residency classification is still going to be based off of where you, the parent, is residing. Okay, so what the University System of Georgia is looking for is that a dependent student's family, parent, at least one parent has been residing and working in the state of Georgia for a minimum of 12 months. Okay, and I'm going to pop in an email address into the chat in case anybody has any more detailed questions.
All right, thank you so much for that answer there, Ansley. This next question is going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is there any merit-based scholarship for out-of-state students? You're muted, Larry.
Thank you. Not specifically. Merit-based aid at Georgia Tech is going to be very, very limited, and that's just a function of the competitive nature of the applicant pool and the great class that we yield year over year. To be considered for scholarships, again, students will want to complete merit scholarships, at least the Georgia Tech aid application by January 31st. And then there are some scholarships that are need-based, in which case you would need to complete the FAFSA again by January 31st of every year.
All right, and thank you for that answer there, Larry. This next question, Dr. Dabrowski may be able to help with. The question is there a recommended class or student support session that helps students refine their organizational skills to successfully transition to Georgia Tech?
So the class that we recommend is GT 1000. They'll touch on transition issues like organizing and time management. I think that if your student is interested in additional support and when it comes to study skills or time management especially, there are a couple of great resources in our tutoring center and in our academic coaching team that might be wonderful for those students. So at Georgia Tech, we do have workshops that are offered related to time management. They are offered through our academic advising and transitions programs. And so you should watch out for those. There's also a team of professionals on campus called academic coaches. And the academic coaches support students with their academic goals. A 30-minute meeting with an academic coach might involve the student and the coach discussing what the student's goals might be for a term. Maybe it's to make all A's and B's, for example, and then to come up with a specific strategy for achieving those goals. The academic coaches are professionals, they are learning specialists, and they support students with issues related to note-taking, time management, test preparation, keeping up with homework. There's really nothing that's about study or learning that they can't help with. So I would say that's a non-class resource that students should explore, and they are called academic coaches. And I'll put the link to the website in the chat.
All right, thank you so much for that answer, Dr. Dabrowski. The next question we have here is, should my student attend Rec Camp? I will gladly take that one and start it off by saying absolutely. If you are unfamiliar with what Rec Camp is our extended orientation program through the Office of New Student and Transition Programs, where we pride ourselves in providing activities and opportunities for your students to learn more about the Georgia Tech community as a whole, our wonderful traditions, and ultimately help aid in the transition to college and life beyond, even after Rec Camp is over. By the end of all of our experiences, our goal is to give students the courage to take on their college career and ultimately feel acclimated to our campus a little bit more. We have 3 experiences that are going to be happening this summer, 2 of them in which are going to be in person and 1 of them is going to be virtual. We would love for you all to look more into registering for those programs, and to do so, all you would need to do is go to transitionprograms.gatech.edu and click on any one of our Rec Camp tabs that we have on there. There's a plethora of information on those tabs, from information about all the camps, the registration deadlines, cancellation policies, and much more. Or even if you have more specific questions about Rec Camp, you can email our office at transitionprograms@studentlife.gatech.edu. We hope to see you this summer at Rec Camp. So with that, we're going to ask our next question here. It's going to be for Larry in financial aid. The question is, my question about Hope and Zell Miller was for this summer, not next summer. Is Hope and Zell available for new students starting this summer?
Thank you. Yes, it is. However, the financial aid year runs from August to July. So while you may have completed financial aid documentation for the 2021 to 2022 aid year, which begins in the fall, if students are entering in the summer, you'll need to be sure that you also complete financial aid applications for the 2020 to 2021 aid year, which includes summer term. At the very least, that means the Georgia Tech application for scholarships and financial aid. And if you've already, or the student has already completed what we call the GHOPE application, or the GSFAPPS, which I believe is what it's called at gafutures.org, the website for the Georgia Student Finance Commission, that's fine. If you've done that for the fall, that only needs to be completed 1 time. If you've done the FAFSA, that will need to be completed for the 2020-2021 aid year. And then, as I said, either way, the Georgia Tech aid application for the 2020 to 2021 aid year must be completed as well. If you do have other questions, I know that's a lot of information. You can send us an email at finaid@gatech.edu, and we can break that down for you.
Thank you so much for that answer, Larry. This next question is going to be for Brett. The question is, how do students request a specific roommate for the fall?
Yes, so our process for selecting rooms, we do not put students in rooms. Students will self-assign themselves to rooms. And so we open the process actually starting for fall in about a week. So in June, that process will be kind of mid to late June, it opens up. And what that will do is for folks who would like to, they can look to see who is looking for a roommate as well. And it'll give you a little bit of information. You can do some searches and you answer some questions and it finds people who have similar answers to yours. To select that person on your application, you can edit the application. The student can edit the application and put that person's name. And as long as the other person who they're interested in being a roommate also puts your son or daughter's name on their application so that they match, they will go through this room selection process together. That process of room selection begins in July. Probably I think around July 5th or 6th is when that process will start, where folks actually start putting themselves in rooms. We do not assign folks rooms. Students self-assign. So students are placing themselves in the rooms that are available based on their priority number. In a roommate situation, whoever has the highest priority number, so whoever applied to Georgia Tech housing and paid their deposit first, will they have a higher priority number. They will select their rooms first. And in a roommate situation, that person will take both people into the room.
And thank you so much for that answer there, Brett. This next question is going to be for anybody on the call that would like to answer it. But what's your favorite thing about Georgia Tech?
Since I'm live, I'll start. That's easy because I get the good, and I like being first because I can say students. The students we work with, I've worked here for 24 years, and I don't think I could have made it this long if I didn't enjoy working with the amazing students we have at Georgia Tech.
I can go if you'd like. Also students. I love the students that we work with. I also really enjoy the colleagues that we collaborate with, and it's a really just kind of a really neat place to be and to kind of work with students. They're doing really great things, so it's really kind of cool to just see them come as a first-year student, and then what they're doing upon graduation and beyond. It's just really kind of neat to be a part of that process and to see them throughout that. So, students and colleagues.
Would anyone else like to go? Michaela would like to go.
I would have to say the campus. The campus is just absolutely beautiful. Like no matter where you're walking, there's just, it's like you're walking in a botanical garden whenever you're outside. They keep up the grounds really well, and it's just really nice. Like raining, sun, you can just go outside and have a nice stroll. And also the facilities, like going to the CRC, everything is just really nice. So it's just really nice to be surrounded by, you know, nice facilities and nice grounds. That's what I love most.
Larry? You're muted, Larry.
Sorry, I do have to agree with Colleen and Brett. I think my favorite thing about Georgia Tech is the students. I do have 2 degrees from Georgia Tech, a master's and a bachelor's. However, it was a little bit easier to get in when I started here as a freshman in the year 2000. And today the kids are just so smart, and I enjoy working with them and really seeing their perspectives. And it really gives me hope for the world to know that they're going to be going out and doing great things. So they're really awesome.
Anyone else? All right, Dr. Dobransky.
So I too am going to say it's the students, are especially fortunate in pre-graduate and pre-professional advising to work with our students who go on to apply for prestigious fellowships like the Rhodes Scholarship or the Marshall Scholarship, the Truman, Goldwater. There's a variety of prestigious awards that our students apply for, and we get insight into the amazing research and community service and just their aspirations for themselves and for their communities in the future, for the world. In some cases, they're very ambitious, and it is truly inspiring to work with them day in, day out. But I also want to say that we have amazing faculty. So our colleagues that Colleen mentioned also include our faculty who are world class. They are the foremost experts in their fields, and they routinely open up their research space to undergraduates. This is not true everywhere. This is a very intentionally cultivated part of the Georgia Tech experience, that the world-class facilities, the world-class faculty that we have are available to undergraduates for that kind of learning experience while they're at Georgia Tech.
All right, and I want to thank you all so much for answering that question, and we'll move on to the next one here. The next question is for Brett and Campus Services. The question is, will Georgia Tech allow students that are vaccinated room with unvaccinated students? If not, will that be used to match students for roommates?
So we do not take that information. That information is actually protected health information. So we do not ask questions about vaccinations. COVID vaccinations, I should say. You do have to, there are certain vaccinations you're required to have, and the health center has reached out to you and will be reaching out to you. There's paperwork that you'll need to fill out. If you have questions about that, that is at health.gatech.edu. That information, though, is protected with health services, and so they are the ones that will use that information. So in housing, we do not use that information about vaccinations to match roommates. We do not match roommates. Roommates place themselves in rooms, so that's a great conversation for folks to have before they're moving in together. What will happen if a student tests positive for COVID, the health center will reach out to everyone that person has been in contact with and work with them on isolation and quarantine protocols. And so that is something that happens. We do take that very seriously, and we have spaces for on campus for folks to quarantine and isolate, and if needed. Once again, we make it very easy for students to get vaccinated here if they choose to do so, and we highly encourage folks to be vaccinated so that we can get campus back to normal as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much for that answer there, Brett. This question is going to be for anyone on the call. It's a general question. What GT Facebook pages do you suggest parents subscribe to?
I can take this one. All of them. No, just kidding. So there are some that I would probably say that you'd want to subscribe to, but I'd also encourage you all to get engaged with the parent and family programs within the Division of Student Life. They send out a very comprehensive monthly newsletter with information, things to kind of be aware of that may be kind of coming up for your students. So I would encourage you to get engaged on that. I can put the link in the chat here in a minute, but I'll share some of the ones that I'm involved in and online. So I would say the main Georgia Tech one, the Alumni Association, the sports one, a lot of the different schools and departments have their own pages, so you could subscribe to those. But I would say some of the major ones are just the general Georgia Tech one. We have an Instagram one, Instagram account as well. President Cabrera also has his own Instagram account that he regularly posts to as well. And so that might be something to kind of look at. I don't know if anybody else has other ones, but those are some of the ones I would recommend.
Would anyone else like to answer that one? Or have a Facebook page that you would like for the viewers to know about? Okay. All right, well, if none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question here. The next question is, will the vaccination question be on the student roommate questionnaire? It's for Brett.
Once again, we do not ask the question about vaccinations. That is protected health information, so we are not allowed by law to ask that question, and so we will not be asking that question.
Thank you for that answer there, Brett. This question here is going to be for Dr. Dabrowski. Can my student get an internship in their first year?
So the students can apply for internships for their first summer. And so it does require a Georgia Tech GPA to apply for an internship. They can apply in their first summer. What they may discover is that they're not super competitive for an internship in their first summer. Some of our employers through the Career Buzz system are looking for a little bit more experience or a little bit more coursework. So we would encourage them to go ahead and look through Career Buzz and see what opportunities are out there, maybe to consult with a career educator in the Career Center to talk about options and their readiness for certain positions, and to apply if they feel like there are positions that fit them, absolutely. But they may discover that that's good practice and that in subsequent summers and semesters, they're going to be a little bit more competitive for some of those roles.
Thank you so much for that answer, Dr. Dabrowski. This next question, Brett may be able to help with, but the question is, how does my student get tickets to the football game?
I'm actually a terrible person to answer this. I will do my best. Does anyone know the exact answer for this? I'm gonna give a stab at this, and so I think there might be some students on here who can correct me if I'm wrong. But I know the Athletic Association. There is a ticket window, and there are some signups that you can do to be part of the swarm and some things like that. I would really encourage you to go to the Athletic Association's website. It will give full instructions. I see that Colleen has added the ramblinrec.com web link. It's not difficult at all. And they're very inexpensive. There's something called the swarm that students can be a part of, and so they may want to look into that. Also, if students are part of a fraternity or sorority, they sometimes get group tickets. Some residence halls get group tickets. So there will be lots of information and lots of opportunities. It's nothing to worry about. They make it super easy to get. I just don't know how students do it off the top of my head, but information should be at that website.
All right, and thank you so much for that answer there, Brett. This next question is a general question. What are some places on campus for my students to study?
James, I'll take it, or Brett.
I'll start and I'll let anyone else fill in. Just making sure that no one else wanted to jump in. There's a lot of places on campus to study. Campus, once again, has begun to open up a lot more. So there are study spaces in the residence halls that the students will be living in. If students are not living in the residence halls, the library is open, and the Clough Undergraduate Learning Center is open as well. And there are spaces that students can reserve there or just go into there, but the reservation process is easy to reserve some of those study spaces as well. The library is filled with them. Most classroom buildings have spaces that folks can use as well. There's a lot of spaces around campus. Studying is obviously something that happens a lot here, and so it is not difficult to find a quiet place to study or a social place to study if that's what you need as well. I highly encourage folks to check out the library, though. That building is absolutely designed. It's 2 towers filled with spaces for students to study with lots of great equipment to practice presentations, group projects, and students have access to all of that, and they should definitely be checking that out. Cynthia, if you have something else to add, please do.
Well, Brett, I would say that your answer was perfect, but the only thing I would add is that there are also spaces on campus that students don't think about, like many of our offices are in the Smith Gall Student Services building, and it is a great place to study. The Student Center has places to study. I think there may not be a place on campus that doesn't have at least a place to study. I'm sure someone can prove me wrong, but we have a lot of study spaces on campus. There's plenty.
And I just may add real quick, just to Michaela's point about her favorite part of campus being outside, just outside. There's a lot of green space, benches and tables and things like that. I would just go outside. I mean, I think we've all been kind of cooped up for so long that I think we could all probably use a little vitamin D and to get outside when it's not raining and whatnot. But I would just say use the outside spaces as much as possible to kind of get out of the residence halls. And I think that's, you know, where you'll meet people as well. So I would just like to add that because it is a really beautiful campus.
Definitely. And thank you all so much for the answer to that question. And we do have one more question today. And the question is, if my student is remote this summer, can they still use campus resources?
I see that I'm live, so I'm going to take a stab at this. Please correct me if I am wrong. But if you're not living on campus, but you're registered as a student, yes, you should be able to use resources on campus. I would encourage you to check out the websites to check out hours and any requirements for COVID that are still existing for this summer. But those, the library is definitely open. The student center is open. Offices are starting to open back up across campus for if you have questions or you want to talk to a faculty member or an advisor. The campus recreation center is available. So yes, resources are available to anyone who is registered as a student.
I'd like to clarify that just a little bit. This is Demora. So if they're considered fully remote and they were not charged all the fees, so they may not have access to the initially to the recreation center, but they can get it by requesting to get a permit for that, and you just pay a separate fee. The fee structures are based on the enrollment type that students are. So if they're taking a hybrid or a residential course, then they will be charged certain fees that will allow them full access to all campus resources. But if they're taking fully remote courses, they're only being charged certain fees, which may not include the fee for the recreational center, but they can get access to that by requesting to pay that specific fee.
Right, and we thank you both for those answers to that question. And as mentioned, that's going to be our last question for this session today. We thank you all of our panelists for being here with us, and we thank you so much for joining us to all of our live attendees for today's parent panel discussion. And please feel free to email our offices for additional questions that may have not been answered today. Please stay safe out there, and again, welcome to Georgia Tech.